Hey everyone, my name is Aaron Ramirez. I'm a software and AI engineer at Flipside Crypto, and I'll be moderating our discussion today with these lovely folks. So real quick, Flipside, we're just building an agentic infrastructure layer on top of all of our data that we've been providing for over 8 years now, and we have benefit of working with a lot of the folks here at this panel, so been able to see what everyone's been building up close. And I guess before we get started, if you guys could each give a quick rundown who you are, your role, and we'll go from there.
Sounds great. I'm Tina. I lead the ecosystem team at Monad Foundation. And for those of you that aren't familiar, Monad is a layer 1 blockchain where we're trying to not sacrifice decentralization for scalability. And we've been live on mainnet for a few months now. Handing over to you, Jake.
Thank you very much. So yeah, I'm Jake. I am in the developer relations team at ETHDenver. Like Monad, we're a layer 1 blockchain. And my main role is focused on the innovation aspects of our ecosystem, giving developers opportunities to build with hackathons, incubators, that sort of stuff, as well as making sure developer experience is as easy as possible.
Amazing. Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Kim. I'm a developer relations engineer at Aptos Labs. I do exactly what Jake does at Aptos Labs. For those of you who don't know what Aptos is, it's a layer 1 blockchain that came out of the Facebook DM project. Is one of the leading move blockchains right now. And it's also one of the fastest blockchain now with 50 milliseconds block time with the recent Velociraptor upgrade that we launched. And this year, we're launching 2 products, Decibel, which is a fully on-chain trading engine, and also Shelby, which is a decentralized hot storage solution trying to bridge the performance gap between decentralized storage and cloud services like AWS and Google Cloud.
Hi, I'm Sophia, and I'm Director of Partnerships here at Aleo. For those who aren't familiar, Aleo is also a Layer 1 blockchain, and we really focus on enabling builders and businesses to build programmable, private, and scalable applications, and we're excited to be here.
Nice. So it seems like we got some privacy, performance, trust. You guys are all focusing on different aspects. So I'm interested to see where this talk goes. I guess the first thing is the big elephant in the room. It seems like we are in a confirmed bear market. And yet the strongest builders and innovators in the space seem to continue shipping, and I'd argue that everyone sitting here is a good example of that. Aleo, you guys have shipped your stablecoin last week, it seems. Aptos, you guys are hitting some really quick block times, some of the fastest in the space. Hedera, I know you guys landed a really interesting spot ETF not too long ago. Monad, yeah, your mainnet. Congratulations, three months. So as we look at the months ahead, I'm wondering, how has this environment changed how you're thinking and maybe how you're planning about the future? Have you had to shift anything around, in the last couple of months there?
All right, you're looking at me.
Yeah, we'll start down the line.
I would say that the best founders I've met have been the ones that can show the most resilience throughout a bear market. So that is definitely why the biggest focus for the ecosystem team this year is doubling down on initiatives that essentially increase the economic power that a founder can have when building in the Monad ecosystem. Namely, one of the most exciting things we've launched this year is Nitro, which is an accelerator where founders get $500K day one. The LPs are Paradigm, Dragonfly, Electric, Costline, and Ventures, among others. And I think that it's just a testament to the fact that there's funding at an all-time low in terms of capital in crypto. I mean, all the venture is going to AI at the moment, but I think there's actually such strong founders still in this industry, talking to users, building great apps, and actually building them faster with AI. So our positioning is really doubling down on really strong founders that are just incredibly resilient and shipping every week. Yeah, so that's what our focus has been. And curious to hear what it's been for you guys as well in this very, very interesting market.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just a bit of noise, right? Got to sort of detach from the token price. Ironically, crypto and blockchain's in the best position from the actual adoption standpoint it's ever been in, right? So you've got a world where now the US is regulating things. Other countries are catching up. Central banks are doing pilots and actually taking it seriously. You've got managers of funds saying, yeah, we're going to tokenize. They don't even know what they don't understand tokenization, but they know everything's going to be tokenized.
It's a digital asset.
Right. But it's like, I mean, I know people who work in banking, we're going to tokenize. They still don't know what it is, but they know it's more efficient. So I think it's just a blip. Keep sort of powering on. At Hedera, we've really we had quite a lot of strategic alignment, partly with the recent regulatory clarity. It means we can bring more things in-house. So consolidating our business development efforts, consolidating our marketing efforts, keeping it all sort of strategically aligned internally, so we can really go to market with the technology and the products on top. That's been our main focus. And that's what I'm really excited for, especially this year.
I think the silver lining for bear markets, especially this one, is that we're removing the distractions from innovation. I think our industry has been taking the approach of blockchain is for everything kind of approach. And we've seen a lot of builders experimenting with cool ideas. And I think it's fair to say that the world is quite not ready, let's say, for these use cases. So it seems like the use cases for blockchain that has found PMF, that has found real use cases, has kind of consolidated into financial applications. That'd be prediction markets, DeFi, payments, right? And that's why institutions are interested in diving into this industry. And the fundamental backing of all these applications, I believe, is stablecoins. Because it's so easy to mint a token, everyone does so. But I don't think that's a great idea. It divides liquidity. Most of them are. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this.
Say it.
Most of them are bad coins.
Hot takes are later.
Most of them are useless coins, and it distracts us from actually pushing this industry forward. So Aptos has been kind of really focusing on optimizing our chain for financial use cases, and we've been doubling down on focusing on bringing native support for all major stablecoins. And right now we're sitting around $2 billion worth of TVL for stablecoins for all major stablecoins, because we believe we got to have a robust backing of stablecoins to enable these financial applications to flourish on the chain.
Yeah, and I love what you're saying, because there's so much alignment here. I feel like we build, whether it's a bull market or a bear. We're out there building. And here at Aleo, we've been building heads down for years. And specifically the last 18 months, we're really getting to see the fruition of some of the work that we've done. Last month, we announced a partnership with Circle and with Paxos, where we've created stablecoins on chain. We're super excited about this because, to my knowledge, these are the first examples of fully encrypted stablecoins on chain. And when you have that, now that lays the groundwork for really interesting use cases. So we're seeing all sorts of demand from B2B payment companies, invoicing apps, enterprises looking at global expansion. How do they move their money across the globe? We're seeing payroll uptick. We're seeing all sorts of use cases around NGOs and humanitarian aid and conflict zones that before we had these mechanisms of enabling private stablecoins, these use cases haven't really been able to grow. And so we're really excited for what's to come and for all that we're building.
So it sounds like bear markets kind of force clarity amongst organizations. At least that's how it has been with us. So I guess that's a good segue into the next one. In a multi-chain world where no single L1 can win everything, what is one principle that your architecture kind of optimizes for? And were there any trade-offs you guys had to kind of make along the way?
I feel like someone else should go first. I'm going to hog all the first answers. Sophia, do you want to go first?
Yeah.
I'll take it this time. All right, we'll zigzag back and forth. We, as you know, we're laser focused on programmable privacy. So what does that mean? We want builders to be able to build complex, so smart contract applications that maintain privacy, where you don't expose the sender, the receiver, the amount sent, and people can transact in a digital world just how they can transact today with cash. We think this opens up all sorts of use cases that we're so excited about that I mentioned before. And, you kind of talk about trade-offs. I really don't see many trade-offs that we've had to make. We are private, we're programmable, we're performative, we're trustworthy, and we're growing. And so it's a really exciting time in the ecosystem, and we're excited for what's to come.
That's great. For Aptos, we have a slogan, and it's that we want to make Aptos the global trading engine that empowers all of global trading. So in order to do that, we need to optimize our chain to enable high frequency trading. Because we can't expect institutions to come adopt blockchain as their infrastructure, especially these financial institutions are conservative. They're still using decade-old software for their
Sometimes more.
Exactly. So we need to be competitive, not just to be the fastest blockchain. We got to be competitive with the legacy infrastructure. So to do that, we've been optimizing heavily on latency. I mentioned that we recently brought down our block time to 50 milliseconds. Soon we have an upgrade coming called Archon, which is going to drive our block time down to 10 milliseconds, which is on par with centralized exchanges. But it's not just about block time. It's also about end-to-end latency, like in finality, right? So we're optimizing on all that front. We're making pushes on parallelism as well. We have namespaces, which lets private companies get their own fast lane using the Aptos consensus layer, which is quite exciting. We're seeing a lot of interest on that as well. The trade-offs that Aptos, I think, makes is that to enable this type of performance, the network can't run on a cheap hardware. So the cost of running a validator is definitely on the expensive side compared to all of the chains out there. But that being said, Aptos understands the importance of decentralization. If a chain becomes so centralized that it's super easy to change the state, then at that point, what's the point, right? So we make sure that we meet sufficient decentralization based on the Clarity Act, which is to have sufficient score for Nakamoto coefficient. So we're keeping track of that to make sure that Aptos is sufficiently decentralized while we're pushing on performance.
Yeah, so for Hedera, the really important thing for us is being that trust layer of the internet, the trust layer of finance, the trust layer of AI, whatever. And one of the decisions that we made right at the inception of Hedera was to set up a governing council. So the governing council is a coalition of about 39 companies and universities, Fortune 500, top universities in the world, companies like Google, IBM, FedEx just joined 2 days ago, and then top universities as well. And each of these institutions, they're responsible for running the network. Now, some of the drawbacks are people then say, "Oh, you're not decentralized. We want to be libertarian, and these are the big companies which we're trying to fight against." But if you're selling to a company like the ones we've just mentioned, that they actually quite like the security. They like the fact, okay, we know that all of the nodes are being operated around the world. They like the fact that these companies, which have a lot of reputation at stake, are going to make the right decisions. They're not going to do something malicious. And also, paradoxically, when you can have this sort of format of specifying where the nodes are, it actually results in a sense of decentralization that when you look at networks like Ethereum, they all centralize geographically as to where it's cheapest to run a node or where the latency is the best, because they're fighting for capital incentives, right? Whereas we can go, okay, no, you can't use AWS because we've already got 3 nodes running on AWS. You can't be in North America because we've already got 4 nodes running over there. You need to be on GCP in Africa. And so when you look at our map of nodes, it's really distributed across the whole world. So from other angles, it's even it's arguably more decentralized. But that I think is the main takeaway is that sort of trust layer and ensuring that we've got the institutions behind us to make those decisions, and also use them to build on chain. Right? These are the guys who are actually building on our network too.
I think some people in the Monad ecosystem might disagree with me that this is a trade-off, but I think the biggest trade-off that Monad made was not decentralization or scalability, because those are the main things we focus on, but actually being EVM compatible. So being 100% EVM compatible means that we do inherit some of the limitations of EVM, but we felt like given the state of the EVM ecosystem being incredibly fragmented, it was really important for developers to be able to have an environment where they can redeploy or deploy contracts without having to rewrite them. And that would be, I would say, the biggest trade-off. People at Category Labs or Monad Foundation might disagree with me though.
Okay, so you guys have each have named kind of your edge in some of those edge cases. I want to flip it and talk about the hard parts. So each of you is kind of built around a clear strength: privacy, performance, trust. In real production environments, what's the single hardest bottleneck that's still preventing that strength from fully delivering at sustained competitive scale?
I'm curious if you guys find this a similar bottleneck, but I actually think the types of applications people are building on infrastructure such as ours, like there is a lot of infrastructure out there, but there's also a lot of hesitancy to fund applications using this infrastructure. I think that's actually the biggest bottleneck that we face. So that's why a lot of what we're doing is trying to make it easier for application builders. But yeah, applications is where I see the biggest bottleneck. People wanting to innovate those applications as well. Yeah.
Yeah, for on our side, I think it kind of depends the audience which are building the application, right? If it's sort of the more degen audience, their bottlenecks are going to be different to when we're going to a Fortune 500 company and saying, okay, let's build tech, right? The sort of the processes that they need to go through is orders of different or orders of magnitude different. For the latter, regulation or the lack of regulation was the biggest thing. Like just the fact that, okay, we're not going to do it when there's no clear guidelines. We can't take the risk because we don't know what the outcomes are. We don't know how to sort of state. We can't create a business model which is legally compliant. It's just not on the table. But now, actually, for that particular audience, liquidity is one of the issues that we're facing, and it's sort of people will look at the Hedera Governing Council and go, okay, great, this I trust you. How much liquidity is on chain, and they'll compare it to Solana or Ethereum, and we're like a little blip in the ocean. So that's something which we're really trying to solve. I think it's been mentioned a few times on this panel. That's currently quite a large bottleneck, which is why interoperability is so important, right? But yeah, that's probably the key ones from my side.
I think Jake really hit a important point: regulatory clarity. That's a big one for both institutions and just regular builders. I think us as an industry, especially as chains, we want to approach ecosystem growth by empowering builders, right? Telling them, hey, you can build whatever you want on chain. But let's be real, right? When you're building a blockchain application with smart contracts, it's not the same as building a weekend application. When something goes wrong for your side project, you can create a PR and fix it. When something goes wrong with your smart contract, that's a security risk. Then it becomes legal real fast. So there's a lot of responsibility, there's a lot of risk. And also to secure those smart contracts, our industry is right now forcing insane amount of money for audits, right? 5 digits, 6 digits for just a simple audit on the contract. And even then, there's still bugs that they haven't caught. So it's really hard to appeal to a general developer audience when the current situation is like that. For institutions, it's more on trust. I think you guys are doing great on building trust with these big companies, and Aptos has built great partnerships with big institutions as well. But just as an industry in general, we need to earn back our trust. I don't know if you guys saw, but the founder of OpenClaw is publicly criticizing our industry because some crypto degens went and created some Clawbot coins and blamed him for changing the name. Like the reality is the outside world's perspective of our industry is exactly that we are some degens. They have no sense of morale. That's the fight that we are fighting.
Because we're degens with sense of morale, right?
Exactly. We got to play along with the rest of the world, right? So we got to earn back that trust as an industry, and when the regulation clarity comes, I think that's when we'll accelerate forward.
Yeah, I completely agree with what everyone has said so far. to add to that, for Aleo, which is different, Tina, than you were sharing with Monad, we went the opposite route of EVM. And we said, no, we're going to create our own language. We're going to create our own protocol. Everything we've had to create from the ground up because of our approach and our mission of privacy. And because of that, time has really been our bottleneck, I would say, right? Where it took us a long time to create everything that was needed, the entire stack, right? Ideally, we wouldn't have had to create everything from scratch. But because of how much we cared about the mission and how focused we were on ensuring the privacy features were functional for builders, we built everything from the ground up, and it has taken time.
I can relate to that.
Okay, so each of you has had some real challenges scaling kind of your own lane. Here's the thing, though. Users don't really care about lanes. They just want the thing to work. So if multi-chain is now the default and success increasingly depends on chains working together while doing their core job well, as you continue leaning into this interoperability theme, what risks or gaps remain top of mind?
I think we've made significant improvements in terms of interoperability. Like, we used to wrap everything. Like, we thought that was okay. But now we have a new mechanism of bridging tokens. We burn the actual supply on the old chain and mint a new supply, which is significantly better. I think the gaps, though, that we still need to work on is user experience fragmentation. What I mean by that is, sure, we can bridge tokens over, but it still means that we need to create wallets on each of the chains, right? So if I bridge over something from Ethereum to Aptos, you gotta maintain 2 accounts. That means you gotta maintain 2 private keys, 2 seed phrases. And you're trying to appeal to a user base who is so lazy to even input their email and password that they're using social logins, right? So if your expectation from your user is to, hey, create a wallet every time you want to use a new chain, that's a deal breaker for most of the users, right? Aptos has taken a stab at this with X-Chain accounts. It's a recent proposal that came out of Aptos improvement proposal. And basically it allows Ethereum, Solana, and soon Sui wallets to just sign transactions on the Aptos blockchain from their wallets. So they don't need to manually create Aptos wallets to use Aptos applications. They can just use their existing wallet and sign transactions on Aptos. So their identity, their on-chain identity, they keep it the same. It's just that they gain access to Aptos without having to create a separate identity for Aptos.
I think it's a really interesting question, this world of interoperability. We feel like what's most important is meeting our customers and our users where they are. Regardless of what chain, what wallet, what dApp they're using, we think it's important meet them where they are. For that, that's meant, expanding into credit cards so that even people who might not even fully realize they're on-chain can interact with, we'll call them Web 2 point-of-sale systems and transact using stablecoins. We think that also it's important to have all of these opportunities to meet users where they are, regardless of if they're interacting and coming from Web 3 or if it's Web 2. And I think there's a lot more opportunity for us to start changing the dialogue to say, how do we create interoperability between crypto rails and traditional finance rails?
I think I definitely, the wallet stuff's really, really good point. And including Web 2 and Web 3 in the interoperability conversation is a great point too. I mean, I think from just recently in the interoperability space, obviously your Layer 0 released their own chain, right? Which I was speaking about this with my team. It's quite interesting because they had a really nice sort of moat of being vendor neutral. They sort of work with any chain and they're not a chain and they're the interoperability. So that's now changed. I think that's going to bring interesting implications. But nonetheless, I mean, you still, when you're bridging from one chain to another or burning and minting from one chain to another, which is definitely the better way to do it, you're still depending on that third-party intermediary, which is, no matter whether they call it a DON or a decentralized, there's still an extra element that you need to trust in this equation. And I think if we can eliminate that and have chains natively communicating one-to-one, that would really, really change the game. We are working on something very early stage. I don't even know if I can mention it on here, but something which essentially allows a network to communicate directly to another network, and a standard which we can all adopt, which is vendor neutral, which is sort of, okay, let's cut the middleman, right? That's the whole point of blockchain. I think that could be really interesting and really exciting.
All right, we got like 4 minutes left. There's one more question I want to ask, but first, let's do a really quick lightning hot take round. So, what's kind of your hottest take? Something spicy, something that might make the person next to you uncomfortable with multi-chain infra right now? And whoever wants to lead.
Has anyone seen that recent text Vitalik tweeted about L2s?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay, I think that tweet was incredibly monad coded. I'm of the view that if Ethereum was to rebuild its entire stack from day one today, it would look like monad. Please do not fight me. Or you can fight me, actually. I'm happy to debate with anyone on that. Yeah, so that's my hot take.
That's a good one.
Pass. I'm gonna have to think on that.
Yeah.
All right, here's
What
a
can
quick
you
one.
say to not get fired?
Here's a quick one, you guys. Tech matters.
No. Is that a hot take though?
That's cold, bro.
Apparently, because apparently people think that tech doesn't matter, that it's boring, and they're just like, oh, it's more all about narrative. It's all about hopping on the hype train. Yeah, maybe that was true until now, but the game's changing, and the chains that are going to survive and win are the ones that are ready for institutional usage and real world usage later down the road.
I don't know if this is a hot take in this room or with this crowd, but I do see the fall of the meme coin and the rise of institution.
Okay, those were good. So before we get out of here, I want to give each of you guys a chance to kind of chat about maybe something you're looking forward to, something you guys are building. Yeah, what's coming down the pipeline? What are you excited about?
There was something which we just released, which was really interesting, and obviously there's AI stuff, cool, AI agents, OpenClaw, on-chain stuff for AI, that's cool. But something which we just released was a scheduled smart contract service, which is essentially a fully on-chain, no sort of third-party cron job scheduler required, a fully on-chain service which allows smart contracts to execute themselves fully on-chain. So you can basically have a smart contract which just goes, okay, yeah, do this, call my function in 30 minutes. Or
cron job?
Like a cron job fully on-chain, which is really cool. And that's just come out a couple of weeks ago. But I'm excited to see sort of what people can build with that. And yeah, definitely recommend people looking into the scheduled smart contract service.
That's awesome. For Aptos, Avery, the founder of Aptos, recently shared a vision that he has for Aptos. And it actually got me excited for the first time in the last 5 years. He said that he believes capital should move at the speed of truth. What he means by that is right now, legacy markets, you got an edge in your capital markets with proximity to data centers. So if you're in the room in the New York Stock Exchange, you're going to have an edge compared to someone across the globe because they're just close to where the execution is actually happening. So the real edge is not fair on a global scale. It's for those who are close to the data centers, and even like they're selling these to companies to get that fast execution. That's not a fair environment. So we say decentralization, decentralize this, decentralize that. But now I think a lot of people are like, who cares about decentralization?
That's a hot take. I'll take that one.
Yeah. But this is really what decentralization is all about, creating a fair market for people on a global scale. So we're launching 2 products. One is Decibel, which is a fully on-chain trading engine. It's got Clob on-chain, which we haven't been able to do that before, but we've optimized our protocol to enable that. So everything's transparent. We're building Shelby, which is a decentralized hot storage solution. So now it's not a centralized storage where you're getting data from. It's a decentralized network around the globe. And anyone will be able to participate in capital markets if they're close to the information, and they'll have an edge with that.
Sophia?
I'll go quickly because I see we're out of time. We have been building these incredible private stablecoins. We're super excited about the payment space in general. And tomorrow we have our labs organization, Provable, has a huge product announcement coming out for something that they've been working on for months. So I encourage everyone to keep an eye out on Twitter tomorrow at the Alio HQ. We'll retweet what the Provable, the labs entity, has created. It's really awesome.
I'll do one update from Category Labs. Is recently this week they launched Foundry for Monad, so essentially helping EVM developers with the same Foundry tooling that Ethereum has. And then I would say that the most exciting thing on the foundation side is seeing the number of applications and really serious founders for Nitro. In the first 48 hours, we had 170 applications all across the world from all different chains as well, because it's something that's open to all of crypto. So yeah, that's what I'm most excited about.
Well, cool. Thank you so much for joining me. And I enjoyed moderating this panel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you.
Appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much.